Welcome to the Point. The 2026 election will be one of the most active cycles we've seen in the state. With an open U.S. Senate seat, an open seat for governor, combined with every state legislative office in both chambers up for election, and all 13 congressional district seats on the ballot, there are a lot of things to consider as we head into 2026. One of those isn't necessarily on the ballot, it's about the ballot. Specifically, the integrity of the votes you cast. Over the years, some people have expressed reservations about the safety and accuracy of elections. And recently, we talked with Kent County Clerk Lisa Posthumus Lyons about a new initiative she's working on to reassure voters that the process is safe. I want to start in a subject that you and I have talked about numerous times since 2020, really, and that's about having security and safety, and maybe most of all, having people believe that elections are, in fact, conducted safely. You have been part and are now heading up a new initiative here in the state. It's called RightCount, and it is something that is already in other states. Tell me what it is and why you're involved with it.
So I've made it my mission to educate the public about our process, about how we have so many checks and balances in the system, because I think there's nothing more important to the bedrock of our republic, which is elections, than voter confidence and public trust. And so I've been doing a lot of presentations, a lot of meetings, and this organization, RightCount, is an organization kind of made up for more right-leaning, conservative audience to help promote public confidence, to promote public trust, and just talk about the process to engage new messengers, to go out and talk about the elections and how they work here in Michigan. So I'm really, really pleased to be a part of that group, to really continue to educate the public, whether Democrat, Republican, or independent. I think we've seen that our elections, particularly the administration of them, they're a nonpartisan event. But I want to reach as many audiences as I can. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Part of the problem stems from that 2020 election and people who did not believe in the outcome. And we did shows talking about the process in Kent County and Ottawa County, too, with the clerk out there, trying to explain and make people understand how this system is protected. But in many cases, it didn't work. People didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to believe. So what can you do now that will get people? Obviously, some of those very same people have much more confidence in the 2024 election because the outcome was what they wanted. And that's part of the problem, right?
Right. Well, elections by their nature are competitive. They're contentious. 2020 really wasn't unprecedented in terms of doubt in the outcome of the election or skepticism. We've seen it just in recent history, 2018, the gubernatorial election in Georgia, 2016 presidential election, go back to the 2000 presidential election, the 1960 presidential election, and then all the way down even into 1800. That presidential election was very contentious, very controversial, very close in results. And so it's not really unique. No particular political party has a cornerstone, the market cornered on skepticism or concern or even outright questioning the outcome of the election. But what we do see is just this pattern of voters trusting elections when they really only turn out with their preferred candidate winning. And so that can really undermine the entire process. And so it really begins with people like me, people that are trusted in our communities to be messengers and really answer that with facts, not fuel fear, but acknowledge that while we can always do more, our elections are secure, they're transparent, they're fair, and they're accurate. And what we want to do, the best way to continue to bolster public confidence, to improve, build on trust in elections, is to be transparent, to educate the public, and then to encourage them to participate. What we think is really important is is, having election officials, election administrators who can be trusted to know the process, to educate people about the process, but also engage community leaders and trusted members of the community to be a part of this, to kind of make ambassadors out of them. For example, overwhelmingly, people trust veterans. They trust, their first responders. They trust firemen. They trust people who help keep them safe. And so we want to really make an effort to start engaging people that we know can be trusted messengers. So look for efforts to kind of bring those folks in, get them perhaps to work our elections. They're done. Your elections are run by your friends, your family, your neighbors, and they're bipartisan. Republicans and Democrats are required both to be at every polling location, and so we want to bring trusted ambassadors into the process. We want to educate them about how it works, all of our checks and balances, the many things, the equipment testing that we do beforehand, the ID, the voter ID or affidavit on penalty of perjury, the process of absentee voting and what makes that secure. So we want to really bring in more people to help get that message out about how our elections work and why they can trust them, because it's bottom line, it's critical.
One of the things that I was going to mention, you just brought it up, before every election, you do not one, but multiple tests on the equipment, and those are open to the public. People can come and see the process. They can see how things work. But the problem is, I suspect, is not enough people will actually come out and go to those tests. So I assume this is kind of an extension of that, trying to get more information out there. Has there been any change, as you can tell, about people wanting to be involved, like volunteering at the polls and doing some of those things, in light of the fact that there's been more attention given to election security and election accountability?
Yeah, that's been a really great part of this whole effort, is you see people who maybe once every 4 years went to the polls, cast their ballot, walked away, went on with life, checked the results, that night or early the next morning. We now see so many people engaged, and I'm a huge proponent of meeting people where they're at. I don't want to just bring in people who who I have no problem whatsoever. I want to bring in people who have honest, earnest questions to walk them through it, make believers out of them, and then and then have them be a part of it. So it's really important to have that participation, to educate them. But the transparency that you talk about is really important. Whether it's before the election, during the election, or even after in our checks and balances there with our canvass and our audits, those are all open to the public. This is their elections. They deserve to have trust. They deserve to be a part of it, whether it's voting, observing, being a challenger, being a worker, and then just coming to watch the process unfold. There's a role anybody can play at any point in the election.